What is no longer worth it because of how expensive it has become? Story 1. Thrifting has become crazy expensive. All of the thrift stores I used to go to have increased prices. On top of that, garage sales are crazy. My favorite is pulling up to garage sales and see the owners have just printed out random listing from eBay. No, Bob, I am not going to pay $100 for a microwave from 2010 because it sold for that on eBay 5 years ago. Story 2. Brisket used to be really cheap because it has lots of sinew and connective tissue. Takes a long time cooking to break down and make tender. Now BBQ has taken off, brisket has shot up in price. Recommend. My mom used to have a cookbook from the 80s, something like Poor People's Guide to Cooking, and it specifically talked about how you can get deals on brisket because it was throwaway or scraps at most butchers, and if you have the patience, you can make it edible. So I grew up with it because I was poor, and now at some point our 2-day brisket recipe is like gourmet. Reminds me of what apparently happened to lobster, except it happened in my lifetime. Story 3. Boxed cereal. A box of Cheerios for $7 plus. Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. I'll buy the store brand for $2 that comes in a bag instead of a box, at least until that gets too expensive as well. I need to figure out something else to eat for breakfast that's not boxed cereal. Recommend this. Also, the family size boxes are not the same family size they used to be. Family size is the same size as the normal size like 5 years ago. Years ago, I remember my parents saying not to get the family size because we'll never eat the whole thing before they get stale. The normal size now is good for 2 bowls of cereal, yet the price is nearly tripled what they used to be. Cereal is the biggest joke going. Story 4. Ordering delivery. Used to be same price as ordering in person with a small fee and tip per item. Now most places have signed with a service, so they no longer do it themselves, and now you have to go through DoorDash or Uber Eats, etc., which add on additional fees, increased prices from menu price and larger tips expected for what in most cases amounts to worse service than back when restaurant or pizza joint did their own delivery. Story 5. All fast food. Used to be you could at least rationalize it as a cheap treat, but now it's just as expensive as higher-end, fresh ingredient places with the same garbage quality and smaller portions. Story 6. Cost of living housing. We may as well just all fuck off at this point. Recommend. I'm an IT professional. I out-earn my parents by a large margin, yet I'm in my early 30s with no house or car. I'm gradually saving up for a deposit, but I can only do that because I live with parents and earn an above-average salary. Even I get fed up. My dad bought our house on a single blue-collar salary. I honestly don't know how people on minimum to average wage or rent keep going. Story 7. Fixing things, which I used to love doing. It's often much cheaper to just buy another one. Recommend. I cannot express how happy I was that I could fix my kid's bed for about $10 in wood and a couple hours of work. While I know how to fix a lot of the stuff that breaks around here, between the time and cost of parts, it's usually more cost-effective to just buy a replacement, and a little piece of me dies each time. Story 8. Farmers markets. Everything was like 1/4 what it had cost at the store, grown closer, and by smaller local farms. Then everything changed when it became trendy. Now it's more expensive than stores, and I question if it's even from local farms and not Costco. Story 9. Health insurance. We pay about $12,000 a year in premiums and also have an HSA that we contribute about $8,000 a year to. We have a deductible of like $10,000 that we have to hit for the insurance to pick up most of the costs. So in a bad year, we are out at least $20,000 for medical insurance. We have 2 kids and are pretty healthy, but seem to hit this every year now. Story 10. Concerts. I went to hundreds of concerts in my teens, 20s, and early 30s. The most I ever spent on a ticket until recently was $150 to go to Woodstock 99. I tried to get nosebleeds for Elton John's farewell tour last year, and it was $250 to get in the building. Live music is one of the greatest pleasures known to man, and Ticketmaster, Live Nation ruined it. They own the distribution, management, venues, event planning, etc. It's a vertical integration monopoly. Story 11. Amazon Prime. It used to be the go-to for everything. Free 2-day shipping and good quality products for cheap. Now it's just shitty Chinese products with Prime increasing their annual fees. Honestly, just not worth it anymore. Recommend. Not to mention I haven't gotten 2-day shipping since COVID. even while paying for Prime. Amazon gives free standard shipping on orders over $35, so I just add things to my cart over time until I hit that minimum and accept it'll be at least a week. Helps with impulse shopping too, lol. Story 12. Chicken wings at the grocery store, at least near me. By weight, they're more expensive than bone-in thighs, drumsticks, or quarters, but less of the total weight is meat than the other cuts. Unless you really specifically need wings than another cut, I don't know why in the world anyone would buy them. They used to be dirt cheap and discarded as scrap. Story 13. Children. The cost of living is so high and the job market is so volatile that I wish I didn't have kids because the stress is insane. I lost my job yesterday because I work in the games industry and it is genuinely bleak and terrifying. I love my kids, but living in the UK is awful right now. Story 14. Streaming services as a whole, like Netflix, Disney, Hulu, even my Spotify went up in price, and it's frankly tiring with these services. Definitely dropping my Netflix and Hulu though for a VPN, so I can finally sail the seas and use Plex for my media. Story 15. Pizza. $18.22 average for a large cheese is insanity. Pizza is incredibly cheap to make. And $2.23 per topping for a small sprinkling. Making pizza dough is the easiest thing at home. Tons of great recipes online for sauces, cheese, oven. Story 16. This is gonna sound weird, but store brand butter. Inflation hit, and Kroger ramped up the price for its generic brand, but by doing so, made it cost $2 less than Land O'Lakes. Pre-inflation, a $3 thing of Kroger butt looked more reasonable than the $5.50 or WE for LOL. Now it's like I use less butt anyway. Might as well spend the extra couple bucks to directly support dairy farmers. Story 17. Airbnb. It's now just as expensive as a hotel with several more downsides. You usually have to complete a list of chores before you leave. And when you arrive, someone walks through the property with you and goes through a list of rules so restrictive it shouldn't be on the platform in the first place. Staying in a hotel is so much more carefree and, depending on the type of trip, much more convenient. Story 18. Controversial take, college. The return on investment, at least for me, just never seemed worth it, even when I tried it 12 years ago. The time, the debt, the long-term impact, you have this degree forever for this specific thing. All of that seems like more baggage than not having any of it. The thing I went to school for. I got a job before finishing my courses, hated the industry, then dropped it all entirely, got a cubicle job, and run a business on the side for extra cash. The things I'm interested in, creative pursuits mostly, just seem like terrible majors, and the things that are worth it don't even help you anymore. I see all these people with degrees, long resumes, and they apply for 100 jobs and get no replies. My brother is like this. He is way more qualified than me in every regard, and he struggles to find and keep work. Meanwhile, I have held down a really solid desk job for a good while and enjoy the lifestyle I have. If I have to go back and learn anything, it's going to be a trade.